Carousel of Life, Day 12, Adrien's Girlfriend. This is a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction series written based on the Adrinette April 2019 daily prompts. If you missed any previous chapters, find links in the description box below or click on the card in the upper right corner for the playlist. And now, let's hop on the Carousel of Life. Adrien wasn't sure how he was going to survive classes on Monday. He was exhausted. Not only were his sleep patterns severely thrown off by being yanked halfway across the world and back in a matter of days, but there had been an Akuma in the middle of the night, and he was running on less than 2 hours of sleep. All he wanted was to go on autopilot and make it through the day so he could go home and sleep. But as soon as he walked into the classroom and everyone went silent, he was filled with foreboding that his day wasn't going to go as smoothly as he hoped. "What's going on?" he asked Nino. Instead of answering, Nino got up, tugged on the bill of his cap, a nervous habit, and motioned for Adrien to step outside the classroom with him. They still had a few minutes before class started. "You didn't see the article, bro?" Nino asked as soon as they were out of earshot of the other students. "What article?" "Hold on." Nino slipped back into the classroom, and Adrien glanced in to see him ask Alia for a magazine. In his peripheral vision, he caught the flutter of heads turning to look at him. Mostly just curious, but a few of the girls looked inexplicably miffed. His eyes were drawn to Marinette, who had her nose buried in a textbook, seeming intent on blocking out whatever was happening in the classroom, including him. That stung. She was close enough to talk to, and after being absent for a few days, he'd been looking forward to saying hello. It was only now that he was deprived of her attention that Adrien realized how natural and customary it was to greet one another in the morning. He noted with curiosity that she was wearing an oversized sweater instead of her usual trim attire, and her hair was loose, not in pigtails. "Stop staring, dude," Nino whispered as he tugged Adrien back into the hall with him and shoved a magazine into his hands. It was open to a full-spread picture of... Oh, great. This wasn't good. And the font told him exactly which tabloid it was. Adrien squeezed his eyes shut and pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling the beginnings of a headache. And first period hadn't even started yet. "Everyone knows this tabloid is full of lies," he muttered. "Doesn't stop them from talking about it." Adrien let out a long sigh of frustration and opened his eyes to inspect the damage. The headline wasn't a good start. "Adrien's Girlfriend?" The subtitle read, "Adrien Agreste, teen model and son of fashion mogul Gabriel Agreste, spends his birthday in Asia with his secret girlfriend? How long have they been hiding their relationship?" Adrien felt disgusted. Usually the tabloids left him alone. The one good thing he could say about his regimented schedule was that he never did anything interesting enough for them to pick up on and misconstrue. It was just his luck that someone would manage to get candids of him in Japan of all places. The photo on the spread was of him and Kagami in Shinjuku National Garden, dressed in his father's latest design styled after traditional Japanese summer wear. His arm was around hers as he pointed at something out of the frame with his other hand. They looked like a happy couple admiring the cherry blossoms. Of course, it was a posed shot. The official photos were meant to showcase the clothing line, which would soon be rolled out on the Japanese market for the summer festival season. But the paparazzo had a zoom lens that focused on their faces, giving the background a dramatic blur, and the shot was clearly styled to display Adrien and Kagami in a romantic light. "It's not that bad," Nino said. "They didn't say anything horrible about you." "But it's not true," Adrien said through clenched teeth. He scanned the article. It was written to make it seem like he and Kagami had hidden their relationship so his fans in France could keep their hopes up. They even put in quotes. "I wanted nothing more than to spend my birthday with the one I love." Oh, I never said that! "Everyone will forget about it in a week, and the gossip isn't that bad." Adrien huffed. Regardless of whether the gossip was good or bad, or what his classmates thought of him, he hated the idea that it was shaped by an article full of lies instead of real interaction with him. He'd started attending public school because he wanted real relationships. He didn't want to be some fake public figure invented by a greedy reporter. He'd had more than enough of that already and didn't want it affecting his school life. He thrust the magazine back at Nino and went back into the classroom, taking a seat. A hush had fallen over the classroom again, this time blanketed with whispers.
"Hey, bro,"
Nino said in a voice loud enough to distract Adrien from the whispers.
"I got the new Infinity Star game and it's sick. They added a bunch of new vehicles and the graphics are mad smooth. You gotta come over and try it sometime."
"Sounds like a plan." Adrien gave Nino a tired smile. He couldn't ask for a better friend. Kagami texted him a minute after lunch break began, as if she'd just been waiting for the bell to ring. "I'm outside your school." Adrien scowled at his phone. Didn't she know better than to show up when the media was paying attention to them? If she had something to say, couldn't she just call or text him? Reluctantly, he grabbed his bag and went to the entrance of the school where Kagami's red car was waiting. The window opened as Adrien approached, revealing her characteristically stoic face. "You saw the article?" she said without fanfare. Adrien glanced side to side. They were off school grounds, so they weren't safe from the public eye. "Can I come in?" he asked. Wordlessly, Kagami rolled up the window, opened the car door, and scooted over, allowing Adrien in. "I saw it," Adrien said once the door had slammed shut. "They made up lies about us." "It doesn't have to be a lie." "Kagami, I already told you that I'm not giving up on the girl I love." Even as he said the words, Adrien felt a twinge of guilt, but not because of Kagami. "Suit yourself," Kagami said, crossing her arms. "But I'm not looking forward to the scandal they'll spin to cover their tails when it starts becoming obvious that we're not dating. It might be easier to just play along and break up publicly so we're in control of the story." "I'm not going to let fear of the media dictate my life choices," Adrien said staunchly, placing a hand on the door latch. "If anyone asks you what's going on between us, there's nothing." "That's cold," Kagami answered with a raised eyebrow. "Aren't we friends at least?" "Please," Adrien urged, not in the mood for teasing. "I don't want to feed this rumor." He opened the door to get out and heard the sound of several flashes going off before a car zoomed away. "Too late," Kagami said. The whispering only got worse as the day wore on, and a link to a new blog post landed in his text inbox courtesy of Nino.
"Sorry, dude," he whispered. "Just so you know what the current buzz is about. Don't click on it, though. They don't need the extra hits."
The featured image was a shot of him getting out of Kagami's car with the caption, "Adrigami Undercover Lunch Break Rendezvous?" The name mashup was like the disgustingly saccharine cherry on top of this nightmarish media sundae. Adrien groaned and threw his phone into his bag. Plag let out a muffled shout as it almost hit him, and Adrien coughed loudly to cover it up, attracting more looks his way. Wonderful. For the first time ever, he was actually relieved when the final bell rang and he could retreat into the relative privacy of his limousine. Not only was he irritable from sleep deprivation, he was annoyed that school had managed to become an unpleasant experience. The only thing he could really do was wait for the rumor to blow over and take comfort in the fact that his closest friends knew it wasn't true. At least, Nino and Alia knew. Marinette, on the other hand, had been avoiding him all day, without question. He'd tried talking to her several times just to test this theory, but each time she pretended she couldn't hear him, needed to use the bathroom, or had some other excuse. Once, she even intentionally threw, not even dropped, but threw, her books and made a show of scrambling on the floor to pick them up, just so she could be doing something instead of talking to him. As soon as he got home, the first thing he did was transform into Cat Noir to escape from the prison that being Adrien Agreste had become. After running around Paris until he was spent, which only took about 10 minutes due to his already fatigued state, Cat Noir found himself crouched on a rooftop across from Marinette's balcony, his heart aching. It really bothered him that she was avoiding him. He didn't know why she was doing it or what he'd done wrong. She had to know the article was a lie, and Marinette, of all people, didn't put up with lies. He counted on her to be on his side. He wished he could just go and talk to her, to tell her it wasn't true, and ask her what was going on. He contemplated transforming back and coming into the bakery, but he couldn't work up the courage. Why would he come to her house just to tell her he wasn't dating Kagami? Why would he think she even cared? How presumptuous would that be? Thoughts swirling through his mind, he didn't even realize his eyes had drooped shut until the swoop in his stomach and the uncanny feeling of his limbs being free told him that he was falling. A moment later, he impacted on the asphalt with a cry. He rolled over and climbed onto his knees, heart racing from adrenaline and the entire side of his body throbbing with dull pain. The suit protected him from serious injury, but he'd surely have a nasty bruise, especially on his hip. The sound of a window opening drew his attention upward. Marinette's shocked face was visible, framed with tousled dark locks, still free from her signature style. "Cat Noir?" she called out, panic in her voice. "Are you okay?"
Of course, princess,
he answered in an exaggeratedly jovial voice, springing to his feet.
A cat may not always land on his feet, but that's what the 9 lives are for.
Marinette looked unimpressed. "Be more careful." Cat Noir was tickled by the way she nonchalantly told off a superhero. Then again, if she were Ladybug, that would make perfect sense. As if magnetized, Cat Noir found himself pole vaulting to her balcony before the thought even consciously occurred to him. A moment later, her trapdoor opened and she clambered out. "You didn't have to come over," Marinette said with a pout as their eyes met. "I just heard you fall and I was worried."
When I saw that the princess was in her tower, I couldn't help but drop by to pay a visit,
Cat Noir said, acting playfully suave. He noticed that her eyes were red, as if she'd been crying. Again. He bit back the words,
"Were you watching another Korean movie?"
Cat Noir didn't know about that. Instead, he took a step closer and asked,
"Why were you crying?"
He lifted her chin ever so gently, giving her plenty of freedom to move away if she wasn't comfortable. He felt the tender skin under her chin move as she swallowed. "No reason," she answered, trying to sound light. Her lips stretched into a smile that didn't look sincere.
"I'm good at keeping secrets."
Marinette let out a breath. Cat Noir dropped his hand, giving her space. "Okay," she said, as if resigned. She sank down to the ground with her back against the short balcony wall and gestured at the lounge chair, inviting him to sit. "You must be tired. I've never seen you miss a step before." Instead of taking the chair, he sat down beside her. The concrete pressing into his back felt cool through the suit. His side and hip still hurt, but this moment was like a glimmer of light in a torturous day. "Sure you're okay?"
"Just bruised, probably. I'll be fine. So, what happened, princess?"
"It's just the guy I like," Marinette sighed. "There was an article about him dating someone else. I know it wasn't true, but I don't know. It still hurts. It's hard to explain. And I feel horrible because I ignored him all day and maybe he thinks I'm upset with him, but I'm not. I just felt too sad to act like the friend I'm supposed to be." Cat Noir tried to regulate his breathing to seem normal. She was talking about him, without a doubt. So she did like him. What should he say? What would Cat Noir say? "I'm such a terrible friend," Marinette said, tears coming to her eyes again. She buried her face in her arms.
"No, you're not,"
Cat Noir protested. He lifted one hand, hesitating before rubbing her back consolingly. He felt her tense, then relax under his touch. He felt sorry that he'd managed to hurt her, but she was the one beating herself up about it.
"You're a wonderful person, Marinette, from what I've seen anyway."
Her sobs increased as she cried in the hysterical way people do when they've been holding back emotions for too long. He wanted to say something encouraging about her crush, but that crush was him. What if she wasn't Ladybug? How could he encourage her as Cat Noir only to reject her as Adrien? That would be too cruel. Marinette leaned into him like a child seeking comfort, and he wrapped his arms around her, unthinkingly dropping a kiss on the top of her head, as if it were the only natural thing to do. Why did he do that? His heart was revolting against the rational part of his brain. So what if she wasn't Ladybug? She liked him. He liked her. They could go on dates. They could... Cat Noir leaned his head back against the concrete, trying to clear his mind. Now was not the time to be thinking about kissing Marinette. Not when he was supposed to be soothing her heartbreak about her crush on him. He realized the reins were in his hands, to make her happy by reciprocating her feelings, or to break her heart even more. The responsibility weighed on him. Did he like her? Was it fair to only want to date her if she was Ladybug? Marinette was sweet, friendly, talented, pretty, funny, and smart. Everything he would seek in a girl. Would it be so bad to just date her, even if she wasn't Ladybug? As he thought about it, Cat Noir felt sick. He undoubtedly loved Ladybug. He wanted to say he loved her with all his heart. The only reason he'd even started paying attention to Marinette was because he thought she was Ladybug. But he wasn't sure, and that was tearing him apart. Trying to separate them, and the thought of dating someone who wasn't Ladybug, made him feel like a parasite was gnawing at him from inside out. He looked down at his arms holding Marinette, her loose hair spilling over the smooth black material of his suit. He felt somehow disconnected from his body, and the balcony felt like it was swaying back and forth. He was really tired, and his headache was getting worse. He could stay a little longer, until Marinette was feeling better, but that would be the end of it. Maybe she was Ladybug, maybe not. But he could wait to find out until Ladybug was ready to reveal her identity. No more prying or testing. No more towing the line. He'd already fallen in too deep with Marinette. It was dangerous to go any further. And it wasn't fair to lead her on. Suddenly, Alia's warnings came to mind and hit him with clarity. They could be friends at school, like before. No more calls. No more hanging out. That was better than giving her false hope, right? This could turn out okay, right? The first things Cat Noir noticed when he began to stir were the throbbing in his hip, the soreness of his bones jutting into concrete, and the way his bangs were slightly plastered to his forehead with a film of sweat. The sun was slanting, but evening hadn't fallen yet. How much time had passed? Marinette was asleep, her head on his chest, one arm draped lazily around his waist. Her body heat warmed him in the suit, making him feel sticky in the spring afternoon. She must have been really tired. Was it from fighting the Akuma too? Cat Noir dismissed the thought. He couldn't let these thoughts eat at him anymore. At least his headache was gone. As he lifted her shoulders slightly, trying to extract himself, Marinette's eyes slitted open. "I have to go, Marinette," he murmured gently. "Huh? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry!" Marinette scrambled away from Cat Noir, looking mortified and a bit disoriented. "Sorry, I was pretty tired." "No worries, I get it. Go inside and get some rest." Marinette nodded, picking herself up slowly and shuffling to the trapdoor. "Thanks, Cat Noir," she said as she opened it. "You're a good friend." "Adieu, princess." Cat Noir gave her a little salute and a faint smile before bounding off into the Paris golden hour, reality crashing into him with every leap toward the mansion. Write an essay for literature, read 2 chapters for history, complete worksheets for math and chemistry, 2 hours of piano, 1 hour of Chinese revision. He'd wanted a nap in bed, but the one he'd just taken against cold concrete would have to be enough. Seemed like it was going to be a late night again, or an early morning, depending on how he looked at it. For now, he wouldn't have to think about facing his classmates at school tomorrow. Leaping in through his window, he braced himself to clean up the mess that was Adrien Agreste. Thank you for listening to Chapter 12 of Carousel of Life. Let me know what you thought in the comments or leave a like to support the channel. Stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss it. Until next time!